Wait, which decision are we talking about?
We were building suspense.
Is this the staff LaCroix program? I don't know. What? Uh-oh. The staff has decided to ban coconut LaCroix as a company benefit. That's our big reveal, right?
There's one more. Can you remember what it is?
Hi, I'm Joe Elly, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 28 years.
I'm Elly Blue, the Vice President of Microcosm. We started this podcast to share what we've learned with newer publishers, so you can learn from our mistakes. Or maybe you just want to learn about the publishing industry.
We are going to roll out some major publishing news, at least in these walls.
In 2026, we made a decision about our publishing program.
And that decision is entirely data-informed, as are all of our decisions. But this is the big decision.
It might be a controversial decision, but it certainly was not controversial on our staff.
This was Daly's idea. She just casually mentioned in a thread that was shared on our internal communication software about how booksellers buy books and, you know, what the selection process is that really puts books on shelves. And she said, just kind of casually, everywhere I've ever worked, we've begged the principals to publish fewer books per season. And I looked at that and I germinated and digested that idea. And then a few days later, I was like, Daly, do you think we publish too many books? And she didn't actually say yes, but she did instead come back with all the things that we could do if we published fewer books. And I thought this was great. And it's also one of my approaches to leadership has always been that I'm good at drawing out people's ideas and opinions, and so we can incorporate them even if they work at the lowest level within the organization. And Daly is an experienced publishing person, so she knows a lot of what she's talking about, which obviously informs my willingness to listen. But I would listen to, I meet with the person that cleans my office, and he also has great ideas about what we should be doing differently. I then dug into the numbers, and I looked at seasonal historical sales data, and I said, what is the long-term profitability per title based on how many books we publish per season? And I found, not surprisingly, that when we published fewer titles, maybe it is surprising. The fewer titles we published, the more copies of each we sold. And that might seem slightly intuitive or counterintuitive, depending on what your biases are. But it was actually really, really striking. There were a few seasons, especially in the very beginning of the pandemic, where we delayed a lot of titles, and then there was a season where tons of authors missed their deadlines because of the pandemic. And those were some of our lifetime most profitable seasons ever, because we were able to put a lot more resources and effort into a smaller number of books. And then this led pretty quickly from us saying, okay, so we did 54 books in a year. What is really our optimal number? What should we be doing?
Yeah, because we had been ramping it up. That was the strategy that we were attempting, and our hypothesis was if we published more, we would earn more and grow in a healthy way, and we fully disproved that hypothesis.
It was completely false.
Yeah, not only were we not making as much per book, we weren't making as much in general, and the staff was completely overwhelmed. We were completely overwhelmed.
Our industry is run by billionaires and conglomerates.
At Microcosm, we wanted the freedom to independently sell our books, easily pay royalties, manage our inventory, and understand our business all in one place.
That's why we've been using our own software since 2001.
Now, we want to share it with you.
Working Lit is the only business success software that is created and owned 100% by publishers for publishers.
Join Working Lit and get the agency you need to help your business grow.
Visit workinglit.com to try it for free. Then I looked at, what is the optimized number? And we used that to look at the data. So we cut from 27 titles per season to 16, which, based on all the historical sales data, we're going to make more money doing 16 books instead of 27. I mean, we essentially know that. It's all the data points to that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And it's not just each book gets more attention, each book gets more marketing, each book gets more publicity. It's also each book gets more time with the editor, gets more time with design, gets more time with sales, gets more time in production, and then on top of that, it's by doing fewer books, we're then picking the best submissions and the best ideas and the best in-house projects. We're not just saying, okay, we need 54 books, it's a new year. We're saying, okay, given that we're going to do 32 books this year, which ones make the most sense?
And then we have it all scheduled out so that each book is coming out during a month when our sales and marketing team is focusing on that topic. So we're scheduling based on that too. And I mean, it has resulted in some authors' books being pushed further out, not necessarily because we don't believe in them, but because we're this has to come out in spring.
And it'll be more successful if we do it. It's better for the author as much as they may not see it that way. A lot of authors are but no, I'm really ready to grind. And you're maybe you are, but that's not the greatest determinant in your success.
Yeah, so already, I mean, the minute that you announced that we were doing this, it was the whole staff's mood just lightened. It was one of the highlights of 2025, really. We started out being why are we so busy when all of our sales are down? And then we ended up being we're less busy now, and we're going to be even more less busy in the future, and we can actually focus on these books that are amazing and the work that we love, and using our minds and our creativity. It's definitely been positive in terms of morale and burnout.
Yeah, and that's another one. It's great for long-term retention of high performers. But honestly, the bigger thing, and so we're not just looking at first-year sales. We're looking at books that came out in 2019. What is the monthly profit 6 years, 7 years later? What's happening on those titles? Really, really long tail, because that's what actually matters in publishing. It doesn't matter what you do month of release. It doesn't matter what you do first year. It matters what those books are doing for you 10 years later. Yeah. And I think that, so if you want to make more money and you want to sell more books, do what we did and publish fewer books per season, per year.
This is our challenge to the industry. And you know what? You can save the planet while you do it, because way fewer of those books are going to have to be shipped all over the world and the country, fewer in the landfill, less manufacturing. It's a good thing.
We built this software from scratch to solve our own problems starting in 2001.
It's not only the reason for our survival, but the reason we've been a Publishers Weekly fastest growing publisher 3 years in a row.
Now we want to share it with you.
Join Working Lit and get back the agency to understand your publishing business, market and sell your books, and painlessly pay royalties.
Working Lit. Doing the math for publishers.
Visit workinglit.com to give it a try for free.
It's better for booksellers. They don't have to wade through the amount of dreck to find stuff that they will order.
Same with readers.
Better, yeah, then they can actually parse it. So it's also, if you do it, it's better to raise the tide for all boats, because the fewer books on the market, the less garbage there is. You're going to put out your best books. You're not going to be boxed out by, there just being too many crappy books that cause the lack of consumer confidence, where, people are oh, so many books, I can't wade through this. If we actually eliminated the volume of overpublishing, we would make the industry better for everybody.
Is there like an element here, though, where like if we cut back our publishing but other publishers don't, will that harm us because we'll get drowned out?
No, because we already have that data. So when there was a season where we did 5 books because so many things were delayed.
Spring 2020, baby.
And that was our most profitable season of all time. And that was not a great sales period. That was still, spring 2020 was still prior to when consumer confidence and heavy ordering took on. We just did so much with those 5 books. And that was really, really encouraging for me to see. So even if nobody else does it, I mean, maybe you shouldn't do it, and then we're the only ones that benefit. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Anyway, we are issuing this challenge to our colleagues in publishing. Publish fewer books in 2026, or 2027 if it's too late for 2026. See what happens. Cut the chaff.
Everybody is coming to me asking for how to solve legacy problems. This is the answer.
Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.